Hi, I'm Penny Dix, Astro Coach, and welcome to tonight's in-depth look at the new moon in Aries, which happened earlier today, in the early hours of this morning. So, new moons, and this is a new moon in Aries, our lovely fire sign. Now, because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and so Aries is kicking off the start of the zodiacal new year, then this new moon is the first new moon of the zodiac new year. So that actually makes it super special. And don't worry if you've not yet set any deliberate manifestation intents, because the energy of this new moon will continue for quite a while, certainly till the full moon, which is later on this month in about 2 weeks' time. So what is special about tonight's new moon? Okay, we have a lot of energy in Aries. We have a lot of planets there. Not only have we got, obviously, the sun and moon conjunct, Mercury, our planet of communication, is also quite closely connected. Also, we have the planet Venus, our planet of relationship. Venus is also closely connected to this new moon. And on top of that is a small planet that you may have heard me mention before, called Eris. Now, Eris is actually quite an important significator in this new moon. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Eris because it's quite interesting, because it may actually shed light on events that may have been happening for you around the energy leading up to this new moon. So Eris is a planet that actually takes around 558 years to orbit the sun. It's right out further than Pluto, so it's a very long way away. I believe it was first discovered in about 2005, but I might be wrong on the exact date. And Eris was a goddess, so all the planets, when they're found, and stars as they're understood and found, synchronistically, symbolically get named after goddesses or gods. Now, Eris is a rather interesting goddess because she was the goddess of strife and discord. Now, bearing in mind Eris is quite close to Venus, which is about relationship, maybe there are areas of your life to do with relationships that need to have a fresh start, that need to be looked at again, that need to be somehow upgraded. But Eris is an interesting goddess because it's a bit like the story of Sleeping Beauty, where the bad fairy is not invited to the party. Well, Eris is a goddess who was not invited to a party held by all the gods and goddesses of Olympus. So she decides she's going to go anyway. And she decides to take a gift. So she turns up with a golden apple. And on this apple, she has written, "For the fairest." So she gets there and she just tosses this apple into the sort of the waiting crowd of goddesses. You've got Aphrodite, you've got Venus, Hera, Juno, and they're all scrabbling like mad to get this apple because it says, "This is for the fairest." And in the meantime, Zeus decides he's going to really have to do something about this. So he says, look, we're going to have somebody choose which goddess is the fairest. So you can see how Eris really throws cats among the pigeons, so to speak. In this sense, it's a golden apple. And so Paris is invited to choose the goddess he thinks is the fairest. Well, he chooses Aphrodite because, of course, Aphrodite is actually the goddess of love, or Venus in Roman terms. And Paris chooses Aphrodite because he wants Aphrodite to let him have the hand in marriage of the most beautiful woman in the world, which just happens to be Helen of Troy. So maybe you're beginning to get a sense of what this is all about. So I'll leave that story there because I think this is quite interesting, because Eris sets in motion a sort of string of events which bring about the Trojan Wars. Now we have to take the metaphor of that into our own lives in connection with this new moon. What is going on in your life at the moment that perhaps is like a Trojan War? Or is there the Trojan horse in there somewhere with hidden enemies within? So you need to kind of unpack that a bit for yourselves and think, what is this at play in my life? What does this actually mean for me in my life? Because the fact that Eris is so closely bound into this new moon, and it is also aspected quite difficult, in quite a difficult way, put my teeth back in quite a difficult way, by Pluto, who is in Capricorn. Now, Pluto is the planet of transformation. So this is very much about how can you transform what is happening in your life into a way of being that serves you better and serves the collective better and is for your highest good and the good of others. These are some of the questions we have to ask with this new moon, because it's about embracing the new. We have to allow the transformation that is urged by this Aries new moon. The choice is yours. And remember, we always have choice. The beauty of astrology is that it's a map. It's a map of energies, possibilities, and potentialities. It's up to us how we use these energies. But what I do know with astrology is that if the energies of the cosmic bodies are urging us to let go of something that perhaps has outlived its shelf life, if we don't willingly let go of whatever that is, it could be a habit, a behavior, it could be a person, it could be a job, then Pluto will come in and take it away from us. Because Pluto breaks things down. Pluto deconstructs. And Pluto is very much part of this new moon energy. And Pluto is saying things have to change. So there is a wonderful opportunity with this new moon to make courageous leaps forward. And we also have the asteroid Chiron, which is the wounded healer, in the mix, because Chiron is also in Aries. So we've got all this Aries energy, fire energy, cardinal energy, energy that wants to get going. And how interesting that the new moon has coincided with, for instance, in the United Kingdom, things opening up more. In other places in the world, there will be parts of life that are opening up more with this energy. So that because we want to get out there, and Aries is very much about getting out there. So this is about transition. And Jupiter is also making a very kind aspect to this new moon. Jupiter, I feel, wants us to connect with our higher self. That part of us that can see what the grand plan for our life is, our soul. And to keep us away from the everydayness and the kind of mundane thoughts and ruminating and overthinking about matters that are small, that don't really deserve the perhaps amount of energy that we give them. So with this new moon, you have to, in a sense, ask yourself these questions. How are you serving you? Are you making good choices and decisions that are in alignment with your highest good and the highest good of others? What is not serving you well in this life? Who is not serving you well? Who hasn't got your back? Who's not on your team? Because this is a moon to give us the opportunity to transform how you manage the current scenarios in your life, whether that's to do with work, career, health, family, activities, creative pursuits, relationships. I'll come to that later to see which areas of your life are most affected by this particular new moon. But bear in mind that Pluto will strip away what we won't let go of willingly. Now, I'm not trying to be a doom monger because these are energies that it's up to us how we use them. We can use them in a very constructive way. And being aware and being forewarned is being forearmed. For instance, let's go back to our goddess of discord, Eris. She may show up in your life as a person, someone who asks those questions of you that you really don't want to be asked and you really don't want to have to answer. But you'll have to admit that Eris has a point. I think also, ultimately, with Venus there, and Venus is actually going to move into the sign of Taurus, which is her home sign. So she'll be very happy because on the 15th, Venus moves back into Taurus and she's just going to be super happy with being back at home. But I think this moon is actually about unconditional love in many ways. One of the things we find hardest to do, I think, is to love ourselves unconditionally. And this moon is giving us an opportunity to find ways to actually be much kinder to ourselves, to be our own best friend. Because it's so much easier to love others unconditionally once we've learned how to love ourselves unconditionally. So before I move on to each zodiac sign to see what area of your life is most affected by this particular new moon, just have a sense of what's current in your life, what's uppermost in your thinking, what's the first thing that comes into your mind as I'm talking now, because that'll be the area that you need to look at new ways to handle it. For me, when I thought about this, because my life is very much focused around this work that I'm doing now with astrology, I realized it was about me finding some different ways and different approaches. And so I'm going to be working on that. It's not good to get stuck in just repetitive ways of working. It's good to push oneself, and I'm intending to push myself to change and create better content and information about astrology. But now let's move on to our individual signs. I'll just have a sip of water for that. Right, okay. So, Aries, This is your new moon. You get this once a year at this time of year. And I think it's going to actually be making you feel you really want to stride out with your plans. And I think you've got some big ideas, Aries. But I do feel that there is a sense that you need to not be to not get ahead of yourself. You know, caution is not a word used by Aries. Caution is not in the vocabulary of the Aries person. But I do feel with this particular new moon, with any plans and projects, ideas you've got about yourself, how you want to change you, take it one step at a time. Do it one step at a time. So by all means, make the changes, because if you really feel that urge that you want to change your life in quite a big way, and I do feel that with Aries, then just take it slowly, baby steps. Taurus, okay. So for you, Taurus, it seems to be that it's going to be events that are happening at a distance that are going to be impacting on your life here. And I think you need to be quite bold to actually move forward in a sort of bold and fortunate way. And I think you can do quite well with that. You've got Venus coming into your sign in a few days' time. And I think that's going to be very lucrative for you, Taurus. Okay, Gemini. Well, you have a lot of assertive energy around you at the moment, and it feels like you really channel for this energy. I think you've got lots of thinking, lots of thoughts. I think you're quite frustrated that your life is not unfolding at the speed you would like it to. But what I want to say to you, Gemini, which I would always say to any sign and anyone, is that trust that delays are gifts from the divine. Okay, Cancer. So this new moon is giving an energy burst to transform the way you deal with investments and joint finances. And I think that if you can find a different approach, then that will really make the difference. So look at it a different way, Cancer. Just see how you can, it's even in terms of budgeting. Just look at how you can budget in a better way for you and your own. Okay, Leo. So Leo, I think this new moon is showing me how much you want to get out there and mix and mingle and go on long journeys, but it's not going to happen just yet. It can't. It's not just that we know we have restrictions worldwide. It's actually that the astrology is saying slow down. It's not quite the right time. Because actually, what you are still being asked to do by Pluto, that's in Capricorn, is pay attention to your health, to really, really transform your day-to-day routine with taking care of you, getting the right exercise, getting the right sleep, looking after yourself mentally as well. So take some time out to look at you with this new moon. Virgo. Virgo, I think you're getting quite impatient, and it feels as if people, that you're kind of working with and dealing with on a day-to-day kind of routine in your neighborhood, it's just, why can't they see things the way you see them? And I just feel that you're getting quite almost uncharacteristically frustrated and as if you're about to blow your top. So Virgo, breathe, meditate. People will get up to speed with you. They're going through their own stuff, so just give them a bit of space. Count to 10, stick with the logic and the facts. And you're so good at that. And all these little niggling problems, probably to do with paperwork, contracts, or anything of that nature, it'll get sorted. Libra, if you've been having any problems with close relationships, then this energy is giving you a new lease of life to just repair anything that's floundering a bit. And that's not just with your nearest and dearest, but it can also be with just close friends. It's also in the area of your chart that can deal with people that you're not so fond of. And maybe it's a good time to build some bridges and just find ways to actually see how perhaps the fact that you have a problem with someone is actually an invitation, a kind of mirror for you to understand more about yourself as well, Libra. So bear that in mind. Scorpio. For you, Scorpio, you need to be setting in place a really good workable daily routine. It'll take some of the stress away, because I think there's a bit of a short fuse in you at the moment, Scorpio. And if others aren't doing what you think they should be doing and they're not fitting into your routine, it's really pushing all your buttons. So with this new moon, Scorpio, again, a little bit like I said for one of the other signs, breathe and just look to see if there's some other ways that you could actually negotiate this and work around it. Okay, Sagittarius. This moon for you is a lovely opportunity to sow your creative seeds and get things moving with any outstanding projects. Also, I think it's really good at this point to be open to the input of others, because they actually might have a point or see things in a way that you hadn't particularly spotted. So be open to what others might be able to say. Now we come on to Capricorn. So Capricorn, the new moon for you, it's certainly going to start opening up doors of communication, and it's going to be really helping you to have a fresh start and probably initiate communication with people that have been a little bit sort of off the scene. But I think that there's a chance that you're going to be reconnecting with people from this new moon onwards. And it feels like you're going to be able to sort of, it's almost like reboot your thinking, so that you'll actually begin to see now the light at the end of the tunnel and the positive possibilities of what can unfold for you. Okay, Aquarius. So this new moon for you, Aquarius, is firing up that sector of your chart to do with communication. And I really think you're going to have the ability with this moon to put your point across with a lot of energy and enthusiasm, especially if you're a teacher. I think you'll if you've just started back at school with kids that have been in lockdown and you're back at school teaching, you'll find perhaps that they are more open to some of the innovative ideas that you may want to bring them. And I think with this communication, it's going to be easier for you to see more clearly how to initiate projects that you want to get moving. And now we come to Pisces. So we have a fresh lease of life for you to forge ahead with the money-making ideas that you've got, so that the piggy banks can start filling up. I think you've been feeling a little bit almost like out in the cold, Pisces. That new moon you had a month ago was a tough one, and I think it's almost taken a month for all the signs to recover from the really, really challenging energies of that Pisces new moon. Just be careful, Pisces, that sometimes your ideas, especially to do with kind of bringing in money-making ideas, they can be too expansive and they need to be transforming. Sometimes you've got to go back to basics. You need to, I feel Pluto in the equation here is urging you to really take apart again what you're working on, strip it back down to basics and look at what you've got and a better way to rebuild it and take that forward into the future. So there we have the new moon. And I'd like to say thank you so much for coming to join me tonight for the new moon in Aries. I will be back on I think it's the 27th, I can't remember, it's the 27th or the 28th, with the full moon in Scorpio. So that's a little bit of a challenging one, but more of that later. And in the meantime, if you would like to have a one-to-one astro coaching session with me, I'd love to see you. My website will be underneath the video. And also, if you would like to catch up for any of the videos I've done in the past, they're all on my YouTube channel. April Astrology is up there now if you want to catch that out. And I will look forward to seeing you next time. And thank you so much for joining me. And I wish you a great few weeks ahead. Bye for now.